You remember Senegal, right? Winners of the last AFCON that was more controversial than a 10 episode or season India movie on Z-Word. Yeah, that's Senegal. We need to talk about their president. Have you and your best friend ever agreed together in life in debt, licked each other's blood and said we will rule the world and dominate? No? Okay, not me then. Anyways, to understand the current gist about the current president of, I don't even know why I said current twice, but anyways, to understand the gist about the president of Senegal, to know where Senegalese people had the audacity to do what they pulled on AFCON, you will see why when you look at their president, because it's basically a thing that runs through their vein. They don't take rubbish, and I support that. Were there better ways to handle what happened at AFCON? Maybe, but in that moment, was that the only way that seemed feasible? Yeah, because if they did not do that, some people are going to take the trophy that bribed their way up for it. Anyways, to understand the current president, we're going to go back. We always have to go back. To understand the present, we have to always go back to the past. So we have to go back to President Macky Sall. Now, when President Macky Sall started up in politics, he basically grew from the ranks, as everybody does. And for some reason, when he grew through the ranks, he kind of had a beef with their entire National Assembly. So they basically ganged up against him. I think the beef was something to do with him undermining the person that they were currently grooming as an heir to take over presidency at that time. So Maki was just like, you just running on your daddy and your sugar daddy sponsor. Obviously, that's not what he said. That's just me being me. But in my mind, that's what happened. And he was like, who are you talking to? And his sponsors and backers who had been grooming him up to take after the president at that time, when he left, he was going to come in. They're like, who are you talking to, Mike? He said, I'm talking to you and all your sponsors. They said, bet. They said, but we're going to teach you, you must respect your elders even if they are doing rubbish. And so they basically kind of kicked him out of National Assembly. But Maki, even though he was thrown down in that moment, he did not stay down for long, because the Bible says even though certain people fall, because I don't know if Maki was righteous. I'm not quite sure if that's a term I will use to describe him, but anyways, you fall down, you stand up 7 times even stronger than yourself when you were down. He basically, casually formed a whole new political party, ran for the next elections, and won. What? Like it's hard? So when Macky Sall came into power, it seemed like a very good thing, beautiful, shiny, new, that feeling you get when you start dating someone new. Yeah, that's how Senegalese felt. They got into this new relationship with Macky Sall. And he did well actually the first time. He invested in infrastructure. People had been owed their pension for forever. I think at this point, some people were about to go into the grave without ever seeing their pension. And Macky Sall said, no, pay them, pay them. And then he had this anti-corruption stink that was also going on. So for his first term, he was not doing too shabby, not doing too bad. Now, when his second term, I don't know, have anybody ever noticed that when you give these people a chance to become a leader politically and otherwise, and the first time they tend to do very wonderfully well, almost as if to make you, what's it called, love bomb you, and then second time they just come in and remove their face and they're a whole-blown narcissist, dictator, satanist at this point, and you're just like, where was the man we loved in the first time? And it's like, Rebecca's gone, she's no longer here, I'm your daddy now. I'm so sorry if I scared anybody by doing that. Anyways, yeah, so he came in second term and then he ran into a lot of problems. He wanted to be there for more than second term when constitutionally Senegal was like, we only allow people to run for 2 terms. What are you trying to do? And it's like, but I want to run for, I have an idea to maybe go for third term. I think maybe he had the idea in his mind. He might have said it to a close group of people, but he did not really come out to say it to the people, because what he actually came out to say was he wanted to postpone the next elections. And everybody was like, why? Why would you want to do that? And he could not really give an accurate answer, but I'm already telling you the answer, because usually when a president in Africa is trying to extend or postpone elections, it's because they're trying to find a way to extend their tenure in any means possible. But the Senegalese clocked down and were like, nah, we ain't gonna go for that. Like, you cool and all, you surprised us a little bit in your second term, but no, we're not going for that. The second problem he had was that there was some dude he hired recently in the tax office that was kind of shouting loud about the corruption that was happening, especially when he had to do with their oil and gas sector, that there was a lot of money that was being moved. And that dude was like, where is this money going to? Coming out. I know, even if somebody says the truth about the truth was that tax officer was making his government seem very incompetent, because how are you the president and they are moving this money like drug barrels, and you're just there like, I had no idea. Like, he makes your government look competent. The third problem we had was everybody on the side of him. Like, you're like, okay, you love bombed us the first time, we agreed, it was good, it was dandy, it was cute. Second time, we were not really feeling you like that. So we want something new. Okay, we want out of this relationship. Okay, as a Senegalese person, I assume, we want out of it. We want to try something new. We want to explore the world, fall in love again, stuff like that. And he was like, not really, that's not my plan for you, but we'll see about it. Anyways, remember that tax guy I talked about that was, making Maki's government look incompetent by saying, hey, Maki, 2 plus 2 is not giving 4 in your government, it's giving trillions and billions of naira, and I don't understand it and I don't like it. So yeah, that guy, you see, his name was Usman. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. If I am not, I'm so sorry. So Usman was like, I don't like what's happening here. It's not given. Tell me, ladies and gentlemen, what happens when you come out and speak against the government and what you're actually saying is the truth? Do they reward you with coffee or land somewhere with, like, multiple investments, stocks, and just a honor award for being a truthful citizen? Of course not. That's not what happens. Let me tell you what happens. Some person came out and filed a rape accusation against Usman. Number 2, a lot of people obviously loved him, loved the fact that he was telling the truth, and so decided to run some sort of protest here and there. And so they arrested him for corrupting the youth and disturbing the peace. And by the way, he was already part of the political party, and he was also scheduled to run for presidency. And everybody's like, we see what you're doing. You're trying not to let him run. You don't even want to fix an election date. We see what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So when Usman was rising through rank and power, in one of these political events, he met somebody that would become his bestie for life, whose name was Faye. Now, Usman and Faye's relationship was so locked in that when Faye had a child, he had multiple children, but when he had one of his sons, he named him after his best friend. I think that's so cute. Aww. I also think, like, you guys love each other so much. Like, damn, like, did you all have a blood covenant or something? The love is sweet. Like, oh my god. So anyways, it was getting closer to the election. Usman was in jail. For some reason, they also picked up his bestie Faye, because obviously birds of a feather flock together. So both of them were pretty much known for their political ideologies. And Faye was also a tax auditor as well. So they both knew 2 plus 2, 1 billion. That math, never seen it in the world except in what was happening in Senegal. So when Macky locked up, or let me not say Macky locked him up, but when the government of Senegal locked up Usman, obviously the next person they were going to go for was his bestie, Faye. But Faye was not convicted of anything. I don't even know why he was arrested. Obviously, they brought up some reason. Maybe he was also corrupting youth. I don't know. Anyways, he was in jail, but he wasn't convicted. But because the time to the election was very short, I think they released the both of them a few days to the election. By the way, the people said, you're going to give us this election or we're going to turn this country upside down. And Macky was like, you know what? You're right. You all got it. I don't want anybody to be hurt. I don't want this nation to turn upside down. I'm gonna let the elections go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so our besties were released about a few days to the election, or a few weeks, not quite sure. But at that time, because of party rules, Usman could no longer run for presidency. So, Faye, they were swapped. They were like, oh, people love the both of you together, so you can actually just do a swap. And yeah, they said, yeah, we're not brothers, we're cousins. So they swapped. They swapped and Faye got into the presidency race and he won. He won. I think they came out 20 days to the election. That was when they released for prison and then they ran and then, yeah, they won. And immediately they got into presidency. Guess the first thing that Faye did as president? He made Usman the prime minister. Duh. Two besties taking over the nation.
Jommoy, them wifeful line busy. Jamba, Dawul dole la dumbuti. Yakana, bitimbe, ibisina. Samareo Senegal.
What have you and your bestie done? Anyways, so they did what they wanted to do. They took more control over their oil and gas sector. They've been going hard after corruption. It's been a lot more audits since they entered power. We're also fighting for more separation of states and judiciary because a lot of times, because they want to manipulate constitution, the government always have a past history, historically in Africa, of manipulating judiciary or buying them over to their side to do exactly what they want. But Faye and his bestie, Usman, said, no, we stand for truth. We stand for justice. So separate. And also, they just won AFCON. Again, what are you and your bestie doing? So what have we learned from this very interesting story? 1, have a bestie and agree to take over the world. 2, there's actually power in agreement with people who have the same value and alignment and mindset as yours. What it will take one to do, if 2 or more people come together in agreement concerning that thing, they're able to achieve it much faster. That is why you see in Canada and the UK, a lot of Indians own properties, not because every one of them, they are billionaire rich, but just because a group of them come to an agreement like, hey, let's buy properties in this place, in the UK, in Canada. And it seems that from statistics, they own a lot of more properties than even the citizens themselves. I'm not going to fact check what I'm saying, but like, damn. So it's just because a group of people got together, had a mindset, a vision, a goal, and now people are out here complaining that when they go to Canada or the UK, they expect to see white people, but then they are seeing more of Pakistans, which is low-key racist, but very hilarious, but like, damn, you all are messed up. Anyways, so that is the story of how our 2 besties took over the world. I feel like I've said this like 3 or 4 times, but if you were one of the besties, would you get tired of saying it? No. Anyways, see you on the next episode.